What is going on, guys? It's your boy Zoomy back again with another, rant. Discussion? Who knows? Let's talk about professional wrestling right quick. As seen with my Bullet Club hoodie on, but it's a little old and dated, but hey, it's something, right? Well, a lot of people have been making comparisons between two different companies. One being WWE, the other being AEW, which is an up-and-coming wrestling company, promotion, whatever you want to call it. And they're kicking ass. Everyone's saying it's WCW 2.0, but I don't see it that way, and I'm going to explain why. This time last year, I would have told you professional wrestling was dying because, well, the pandemic kind of put a halt to a lot of shit. Live events were sparse, if that. And tonight is Monday night. I watched Raw for all of 5 minutes. It was the Sheamus versus Drew McIntyre match, or whatever he wants to call himself now. I felt nothing when I watched it. I know they're two bigger guys, but they're both athletically good. The match was very athletic. I am not doubting their ability, but I don't feel the same way when I watch AEW. When I watch AEW, I don't expect anything. I expect quality matches, and 90% of the time there's quality matches. Granted, there were some dumb gimmick things in the beginning, with pandemic and all that, but guys, I'm going to say it right now, AEW's got it. Sure, their ratings aren't as good as Raw's, but Raw's ratings are shit. Like, they are trash. NXT was one of the one things I watched during the pandemic because they were going toe-to-toe with AEW. So, of course, I was flipping channels. I had one TV going in my room of AEW, and then I had my son's room going with NXT. Yeah, I was that kind of fan. But since Vince wants to fucking destroy it, since Vince and Bruce Pritchard are now basically in charge of NXT, it's not the same product anymore. I guess Vince wants big guys again, or he's finally lost his fucking marbles. But it just, spiritually, it's not the same. And there's a reason for that. I've always been told, and I've never really kind of believed it until like now, but WWE's aim more towards that 5 to 14-year-old graphic. They aim for kids, basically. AEW is not aimed for kids, but kids watch it. My nephew, he's 7, he watches AEW. He loves Jungle Boy. He loves watching, Darby Allin, ride a skateboard and shit. He likes Sting. He's like, Uncle John, who's Sting? So I showed him pictures of Sting from way back. And that should tell you a lot. And people are saying, well, they're just like WCW. They're buying all the WWE talent. No, they're not buying them. That's just it. They're willing. WWE's like, fuck you guys. We're going to just let you go. And Tony Khan's like, come here, buddy. I mean, if you're a fan of wrestling, you watched the CM Punk debut. All right, you sat there and you had a tear in your eye because now this means business. WWE tried to get Punk back and they failed miserably because he knows how they operate. I mean, yes, AEW doesn't have their grounding completely ready, but they have a dedicated tag team division with tag teams that are good. Not these hodgepodge mixtures of bullshit that WWE seem to pull. And as much as I hate to admit it, the only good thing going in WWE right now is fucking the Tribal Chief gimmick with Roman Reigns. That should say a lot about the product. I know I'm coming off as a mark, but think about it. Last night at All Out, what happened? I'm just going to mention 2 names. Adam Cole and Bryan Danielson. Those 2 alone are an indication of how fucking bad WWE is being ran. But people don't seem to see it, but they did. Now, Bryan, he had an interview with Tony Khan. He's like, yeah, I'm here to kick everyone's ass. But reality is, a lot of these talents that are coming over, CM Punk, Bryan Danielson, Adam Cole, all these guys that are here now, they have more of an understanding of the business. They want to promote people. It feels to me that they're trying to build a better wrestling company, a better promotion, and it's working. It's slowly but surely working. They're working with Impact. They're working with GCW. I believe they're working with GCW. I think so. But they're going outside their own company like, hey, we want to work with you guys. We want to promote every brand on the indies or whatever to build a better wrestling product. You would never catch WWE pulling shit like that because they're the top dog. And what's bad is a lot of these NXT people who had that free reign to, practice their craft, to show what they are capable of, had an outlet. WWE had their little indies, NXT, ran by, of all people, the game Triple H. And what happened? The ratings weren't as good as they expected, so they took control. Vince and Pritchard took control. And now you're destroying another good thing you guys had. That was the only reason why I watched WWE. The only things I would watch WWE-wise would be, WrestleMania and NXT. Because all I have to do is just look on Twitter, like, what happened on Raw? What happened on SmackDown? But I enjoy actually watching Dynamite. I enjoy sitting there and watching a product being executed in such a way. Granted, it's not perfect, but there's heart in it. And that's the thing. There's talented wrestlers who are willing to work together. Yes, there's a lot of WWE guys. And you know what? Say all you fucking want. Yes, Tony Khan's picking them up. But the whole point of this is these aren't Scott Halls and Hulk Hogan's, who are like these over-the-top fucking wrestlers. We're talking about, I would say Punk and Bryan and Danielson are the only two really over-the-top guys, but there's no creative, they're not like sitting here like, oh, I want to win every match I'm in. Now, granted, I saw the match with Punk and Darby Allin, and it was a great match. You couldn't ask for a better match. It was pretty, you could tell Punk's a little rusty, but that's fine. You saw the respect between the two competitors at the end of the match. This should be an indicator of where we are going as a wrestling community, and it shows a lot. WWE needs to try something new because they are floundering right now. I think they have the smallest roster they've had in a long time. Their budget cuts are unreal. Like, I was watching a video on YouTube, like, they actually cut the budget for their fucking catering. Like, Jesus Christ. Are they not making money? And then even Cena coming back to promote Roman Reigns, to put Reigns over. It got a pop out of me when he basically, fucking ransacked him. Like, Cena basically gave him a good damn promo, but whatever. Cena's going to be one of those part-time guys that shows up to pop ratings every once in a while, but unfortunately, it wasn't enough. Now, if Cena were to go to AEW, that'd be a problem. Roman Reigns go to AEW, Drew McIntyre go to AEW, that would be a clear sign of something's wrong. And, people give Jericho such shit for being, out of shape, but the dude's been wrestling since literally, in his teens? And he's over 50, and he's still going? And you're bitching about that? Do you expect him to look like a god? Like a physique of a god after that? No. He's going to be torn up. He's going to be broken down a little bit. And another big red flag would be if they hired Jeff Hardy, which, no. I'm sorry. Keep Matt. Matt's fine, but not Jeff. And there's reasons for that. Jeff's just not... I'm going to say it. He's not reliable. He likes to drink a little too much. He likes to party a little too much. The man's over, he's like 43, 44 years old. He likes to party. No. Then people say Christian Cage was one of the guys they brought over that was a top guy. Christian was not a top guy in WWE. I hate to break it to you. He was seen as a B-plus player by Vince. The only one that they gave a shit about really was Edge, and I can even tell when I saw a promo with Edge, like he was a backstage interview with Edge, and he just did not look happy. Moral of the story, AEW is coming for the throat of WWE, and WWE's letting it happen. WWE's like, take our fucking trash and do what you want with it. And they are. They're turning fucking nobodies that they consider nobodies into stars. People who are popular on the indie scene. And guess what? It's working. And people were complaining like, oh, they're WCW 2.0. No, I wouldn't say that. I would say it would be the same, but they're doing it so much better. Tony Khan has a mind for the business. He's an actual fan of the business. He gives a fuck about the business. Granted, the first few like AEW premieres, like a lot of the gimmick matches, they were kind of weird. They were kind of dumb, but we can forgive that because the quality of the product is so good. And this is just my opinion. You can disagree with me all you want. Comment sections will definitely be open. I want discussion. But with these new acquisitions by AEW, WWE's fucked. Unless they pull a miracle out of their ass. Because right now, they don't have that demographic anymore. Everyone thought TNA back in the early 2010s, like around the time Hulk Hogan was there and Bischoff was there, that was a problem. Now, let me explain something now. If Hogan or Bischoff show up at AEW, well, I think Bischoff's there now, but he does not play a role to the the level of what he was in WCW or TNA. But you can tell there's actual minds at work making this product watchable. Not only just watchable, but enjoyable. My grandfather, before he passed away, he's like, hey, he gave me his remote. He's like, change the channel to something you want to watch. I want to watch it with you. He says, I've already made you watch NASCAR. I want you to watch what you want to watch. So AEW was on. My granddad saw Chris Jericho. Like he says, I remember seeing him back in WCW, back when Thunder was on. I'm like, yeah, did you watch wrestling? He's like, no, your uncles did though. I'm genuinely surprised he's still going. He looks good for his age. And he watched the matches and he's like, this is fucking awesome. Where have I been? See, my granddad stopped watching anything pertaining to wrestling during the Attitude Era when it was really like risque and a lot of shit was going on. But he saw the purity of AEW and he's like, this is awesome. Until he passed away, he watched every episode every Wednesday night with me. And that's another reason why I keep watching AEW, because it was something my granddad liked. And he wasn't a fan of wrestling, but he became a fan of wrestling at 78 years old when he saw that all these guys were talented workers in the ring. And he's like, this is awesome. He bought a bigger TV. Well, no, we bought a bigger TV for his house so we can watch it. Because, he had bad eyes. The moral of the story is, spiritually, AEW is absolutely destroying WWE. And it's going to stay like this for a while. And I'm going to be along for the ride every step of the way because I'm ready. I'm ready for a change of the guard. Because WWE, yes, they're a more family-friendly product, but I feel that that's their biggest downfall. This is Sumi. I'm signing out. Have a good night.